No, I'm gonna ask you questions too, right? I mean, like, cause let's be fair here. Yeah, let's talk about her.
My role today.
Okay, I understand. Pero okay, there's a lot of great scenarios that's gonna be happening in the PVL very soon, especially this Saturday. Kasi there are two teams in particular. If they win in 3 sets, they will end up number 3 and number 4. And those teams, Petro, Gazz, and Chery. Again, it's going to be really interesting scenario-wise for them.
Oh, it's gonna be very impactful in terms of standing. Like what you said earlier, we just have 2 weeks. We're nearing the end of the eliminations, and if you want to be able to be part of the semifinals, you really have to make sure that you win, not just games, right? At this point, sets as well. You have to take good care of the sets and the matches for you to be able to have a better standing for the semifinals.
Are you thinking about that? See, sorry, I mean, like, imagine your team is involved here, all right? I mean, like, winning in certain sets, not enough to just win right now.
Exactly.
You put yourself in certain situations by not taking care of business early now. Is that something being emphasized in general?
Right now, I mean, it's always the direction naman from the coaches na, let's just take one game at a time. And we've got a couple of wins na straight sets na I think, doable. But of course, you can't just always be complacent. But that's the goal. The semis is the next goal. But, we still have a few assignments in the elimination round.
It feels like F2 in particular, if Petro, Gazz, and Chery do win, it feels like they're still being haunted by them, considering their losses against them. But then you take a look at Signal and Choco Mucho, still in the running. No one still safe. I think it's
They're
safe to say
still
that.
in the running, but definitely it will depend on the teams up there because it looks clean up there.
Yeah.
And they have a couple of losing streaks already. But for them, in their case, they have to win all their games for them to be able to keep their stint alive for the semifinals. But for the teams up there, they just really have to win more sets so that in terms of points, they get more.
Z, do you want to ask Yel anything about your team? What she thinks about your team?
I don't know. Yel, I think you've already covered a couple of Petro Gazz games. What do you think about that team? That team in I don't know. Let me pick your brain a little bit. Like, ano yung kailangan nilang gawin mas better this time? Or challenges na? No, I'm kidding. But like,
yeah, I think for Petro Gazz, really, the team has been solid so far, but it's more of like we've seen their game against PLDT. PLDT was really able to have a lot of in-game adjustments. So I think for the Petro Gazz Angels, it's also the same, but in terms of defense and offense, you've been great. It has been excellent. Cheng as a setter, and now with MJ Phillips back as a starter, she's been a threat in the middle right now. So activating her will really be a big help in terms of score production.
Sinagot mo
my
talaga eh.
teammates are so great.
Yeah.
Sinagot mo talaga eh. But then, alright, so apart from Petro Gazz, obviously you have to talk about Chery Tiggo in general because I think what we discovered in the past conference is still true today. Napaka-importante ni Mylene Paat.
Yeah, definitely. And they've been sort of in a losing streak right now.
Yeah.
And the games they lost, she hasn't really produced a lot of points. That's how much big of a role she's playing for the team. So you really have to activate her early on. She really has to show up during the game because majority of the points comes from her. So it's very important that she's able to be in a comfortable spot to like play offense against a team. But aside from her also, Zaka Randang has been solid in the middle. But she really needs to be activated at the same time because when she's activated, it's hard to read her, not just in the floor defense, but as well timing in the net defense. So both of them really has to be show up good in their game against Akari Chargers tomorrow.
Z, I actually want to ask you about Chery in general as well because again, Mylene is, as you mentioned, probably the most important offensively, especially for Chery. But a bit of inconsistency, is there any insight or any reason why you think that's so? Is it because you're now looking towards her more, trying to shut her down because we know that she can provide import-like numbers, reinforcement-like numbers in the conference in and out?
I mean, at this level, every team would prepare differently and specifically for their next assignment. So, for example, kunwari, tomorrow we'll play Chery Tiggo. Of course, we're gonna be looking at how to stop their number one scorer, and that's gonna be Mylene Paat. And so far, their story is, okay, after Mylene, who's next that, the ball is gonna be set to? And so far, it's been Zaka Randang because they've not only provided the points that they needed, but also the emotions, the
yeah.
heart, the
I would
passion
agree.
inside the court. Oh my gosh, like, I love seeing, of course, my teammate Ran Palma. But like next to her, Zach Arandang is next on my list na
Exactly.
sobrang fiery, sobrang fierce maglaro inside the court.
Yeah, you mentioned the being fierce, the emotional. That I'm sure you see it also, not only when you were on the court, but then seeing that as an analyst also. You take a look at si Zach Arandang. Just how important is she in the whole grand scheme of things here for this Chery team?
It's very important. She's very important because we talked about her contribution in terms of points, and now Ate Z pointed out how important her energy is, and it's everything, especially in the crucial games right now. It's not just a matter of skills; it's about good energy, the eagerness to win, and staying focused. No, there are some intangibles that play in action, especially in crucial games.
How important is yung consistency all the way going to the semifinals, especially for the Chery Tiggo team? Because the two players we mentioned, Mylene and Zach, some people might say that hindi naman sila consistent at least this conference.
Well, they need to be consistent at this point and be very efficient, especially that a lot of pressure is put on them in terms of scoring. But at the same time, if they don't want to have that sort of pressure on their shoulder, some other players really need to step up in terms of score production, because defense-wise is good, but you earn points to really scoring through attack. So they really need to step up in their game tomorrow.
Well, this was torture for Z Hervasio because now she's being an analyst and a host at the same time, and that will continue.